Please join me in welcome Darren Koch here on stage. Welcome here to the Business One world.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Good. So tell me, Darren, before we jump into the conversation of Business One, can you share with us a bit what has been your experience with small and medium businesses, both on the professional or the personal side?
Sure. So thanks, Luis. Thanks. You didn't tell me there were going to be 400 people here. You said 40 or 50 people, and
it's
here
getting
it is.
bigger and bigger.
So let's see. My first job when I moved to the West Coast was working for a small company, about 150 people, so not super small, late stage startup. And it was kind of as you'd expect for a company that was 3 years old and added 150 people. There was a little bit of chaos. There was tons of opportunity. Everybody was trying to figure out how to best service the business. And so seeing that whole spectrum, interacting with the founders almost on a daily basis, seeing the company go through hard times financially and coming out the other side and being successful, ultimately being acquired. So I had that experience at a pretty junior level. And then I had this great opportunity a little bit later in my career. Company I was working for, Expedia, purchased a brand. That brand was on the East Coast. I lived on the West Coast. They had 12 employees, 8 of them in the office, and I would fly from San Francisco to Jersey City, which is actually a really, really nice place. And the office had everything, ran the full spectrum from people writing code that ran the website, all the way back to somebody who would literally get checks in the mail and would walk them across the street and cash them. And when the checks didn't arrive, call up and negotiate with our partners who sold rental cars on the site. So I've had a bunch of other ones, but those are a couple that spring to mind.
Wow. So I'm sure that those experiences will guide you in some of the decisions being made as we speak. So tell me, I just mentioned that the SAP board created this SMB unit. Can you give more color on the background of why the company is going this direction?
Sure. So you said it really well yesterday to the new customers. I'm sure some of you guys are in the room. But SAP has traditionally been an amazing company, best in the world at servicing large companies. And what's required at the large company base to be successful, dealing with all of the complexity, dealing with bespoke implementations, dealing with really complex business offerings that offer global reach, all of those things, they don't exactly translate to small businesses. They make it hard to do business. Typically, they make it hard to do business with a company like that. The software tends to be really complex. It tends to be really expensive. And so the idea of splitting those off and bringing them into a unit where people kind of know and love small businesses, small and mid-sized businesses, allows us to better serve the customers and build better software.
Perfect. Good. Excellent. Good. And but now going back into the subject matter of this meeting, what has been your first impressions with Business One?
So I think the first thing is just, you put the numbers up there and it's a great product. Great products have numbers like that, right? They grow strongly. The products adapt over time. They have a vibrant community around them. Customers stick with them. I don't know that I've ever entered a product org where I don't remember an escalation. So it hasn't been that long. I think it's been 3 months, but the constant spin of new customers coming on and being happy and high retention rates and things like that say that there's something special going on. And then you see it with the team, whether it's the internal team. Luis, you guys are great. The coders who work on the product have a ton of experience. You're going to hear from Finn, who's been with the product for 12 years. When you go through the span of the team and the amount of time that people have been around, it tells you that there's something there, right? There are a lot of opportunities around, and they're choosing to work on this one, which is something that's great to be a part of.
Wow, thank you. And talking about something being there, Business One actually can run in memory and can be operated and consumed in the cloud. So why do you think that both in memory and cloud are relevant topics for a small business?
Sure. So, cloud, platform, mobile computing, the long-term trends that are affecting our industry are super important to pay attention to. Yeah. And more important than kind of the in-memory or cloud, you start thinking about just the software and the service that we're providing. And things like leveraging the huge investment that SAP is making in HANA. You mentioned 5 minutes ago or so that HANA is the path of innovation for the future for Business One, and it's because we have the leverage of a team of several hundred people who are working on this application, converging with the digital transformation around data generation. And bringing all of that together into a product and packaging it in a way that it works for small businesses, I think is very important. And then the cloud delivery is really, there are multiple parts of it. There's the hosting part, because, hosting servers, maintaining those servers, firewalls, access permissions, the way that software connects to other pieces of software. All those things get easier in the cloud. And then the other piece that is really exciting for me is how you bring innovation, how you bring that innovation cycle into a faster pace. And so as we look to the future of Business One, and we look to something that where releases aren't these big scary things that you have to plan for over a really long period of time, and they're much smaller and more incremental, where we're testing and making sure that we're not breaking things, that things are backwards compatible, and of all these things that kind of personify cloud software and bringing those onto the Business One platform.
Wow, exciting. You just mentioned the word future. So let's move to the future. And I'm sure that many here in the audience are very curious to know, what can you tell the B1 customer community about what's coming next to Business One, what's coming next to this SMB unit portfolio, what's going to be the next big thing?
Well, like I said, I think the current big things are around data and cloud and mobile, and I think we're doing a pretty good job of getting those connected. The thing that strikes me about the product and the evolution, and specifically things like voice technology and other interaction platforms, is that they are very much what mobile was 7 years ago. So I remember 7 or 8 years ago being in a debate with our head of product at the company I was working at about whether we should build a mobile app. And it seems silly now, but back then it was a serious debate, right? It's a 15-20% of our engineering team investment, very, very significant for our company. And we had maybe 3% of our total visitors that were coming via mobile. And we're having this debate, and it struck me as I was speaking with some of my colleagues recently, that's the exact same debate about other interfaces, whether it's interfaces about voice, so Siri or other things like that, personal assistants, Cortana, etc., or it's interfaces around bringing business applications out of their little box and putting them integrated into things like we showed on the Concur side at Sapphire, where Concur did an integration into Office 365, so you didn't need to leave your inbox to interact with a business application. And so when you look at the evolution of applications outside of their kind of, everyone is sitting at a desk in front of a computer terminal, and how those things evolve, I think that's super important to be on the leading edge of. Now, some of these things don't work out, and that's, we need to make sure that we balance our portfolio and we don't do all of these crazy things on the edges. We make sure that that the core is taking care of. But I think it's important to explore those edges. And then the other side of that, I think, is, if the first version of ERP was about orchestrating everything inside the four walls of your enterprise, an order comes in or a prospect comes in and you need to generate a quote, and that quote turns into an order, and the order turns into a receivable, and the receivable turns into cash eventually. Orchestrating that is all kind of inside the control of the company, and it's about bringing operational excellence to the company. I think when you look at the second version and you take advantage of some of the things that we were talking about cloud and connectivity, that's super interesting, right? You start connecting outside of your company and you start connecting through the value chain and building that into a product so that it's simple and easy to use and beautiful and operates on the scale of small and medium-sized businesses. You hear SAP talk about the digital economy and the digital core and things like that. For me, the core of it is how you connect systems and how you use those connections to generate data. That data flows into making better decisions that help run the business. So I think it's a kind of intersection of a bunch of interesting things. I think the things that are very core are making sure that we maintain a modern product that scales and does all of the things that you guys all know and love today. I think the second one is making sure that it connects to other applications that are increasingly moving to the cloud, especially in North America. And I think the last one is taking advantage of kind of the innovative edges, whether those are analytic edges with HANA or alternate user experiences.
Wow. Darren, I don't know you guys, but I want that future now. So I understand that you're going to be here all day today and tomorrow, right?
That's right.
So if all of you, anybody has, I'm sure that many of you have additional questions, both of the customer and partner community, Darren will be here. So I invite you just to pull him, grab him, and I'm sure Darren will have very interesting stories to tell us. So Darren, really, thank you for being here on stage, and I really appreciate your insights, sir. Thank you. Thank you.